Hello everyone! This is Saurian Target welcoming you back to another Carnivores mod showcase, where today we are taking a look at not one, not two, not even three, but 6 new aquatic AI creatures for the Modders Edition engine. The first of which is the giant sea serpent Gigantifus, modeled, textured, sounded, and animated by Zerer. When you think of giant prehistoric snakes, Titanoboa is probably the first one that comes to mind, as since its discovery in 2009, the snake has been pretty well embedded in the pop culture zeitgeist, alongside Megalodon as a giant extinct version of an animal that's still alive today. But for over 100 years prior to Titanoboa's discovery, Gigantifus was the go-to giant prehistoric snake in the paleontological world. Estimates conclude that this ancient Egyptian serpent could reach lengths between 30 and 35 feet, although this real-life size estimate pales in comparison to the absolute monster that is the FMM depiction of the animal. On the dinosaur planet, Gigantifus is an absurdly large aquatic snake, and a Liopleurodon for scale really helps put in perspective the snake's mammoth size. Snakes are not well documented on planet FMM UV32, with only the tiny limbed Tetrapodopus of the Triplex tour and the enormous oceanic Gigantifus being formally described so far. And each of these alien snakes represents an extreme in terms of size and ecological role in contrast with each other. Unlike the tiny terrestrial Tetrapodopus, the sea-dwelling Gigantifus hunts the tropical coasts of the central sector, preying on a vast array of other animals, from birds to fish to other aquatic reptiles, and even dinosaurs that stray too close to the shoreline. It's not a venomous snake, instead relying on its muscular body to hold its prey in place while it suffocates or drowns its victim, where the creature's jaws then unhinge to swallow its prey whole. I think it's a pretty fun fact that Zerer has designed both of the current snakes in Carnivores lore, and while I personally prefer the Tetrapodopus, this Gigantifus truly is a sight to behold. Its enormous size makes it a bit awkward when interacting with land near the shoreline, but as intended, it spends most of its time out in open water, where it can swim about freely. The animations are good, and while the texture is canon-styled, it is a bit plain. What might boost its visual appeal would be more pronounced scales, especially on the head as seen in modern sea snakes and constrictors. Unlike most modern sea snakes, however, Gigantifus is very aggressive and dangerous. So keep an eye out for the snake's long, green periscope neck as it comes up to breathe if you're near the coasts. The next marine creature we're going to look at today is one of the most well-known fish in all of prehistory, the cartilaginous Carcharodon Hybotus, designed and animated by Jorge Gabriel. Despite its appearance, Hybotus is not actually a proper shark, but belongs to a group of shark-like fish that ruled the prehistoric seas from the dawn of the Devonian to the close of the Cretaceous. My first introduction to this freaky fish was in Walking with Dinosaurs' Cruel Sea episode, where its distinctive spiny fins and little hornlets behind the eyes immediately set it apart visually from other sharks, with both of these being features that the FMM Hybotus also boasts. On the dinosaur planet of FMM UV32, Hybotus is a comparatively small marine creature, nowhere near the size of the imposing Liopleurodon or Gigantifus, preferring to roam the warm, shallow seas housing the central sector islands, as opposed to the vast, cold cross-sector oceans. Being relatively small, Hybotus are uniquely skittish marine predators, preferring to flee rather than fight, and pose very little threat to human hunters. Instead, Hybotus uses its two types of teeth to succeed as an opportunistic predator. Sharp teeth in the front are used to catch slippery fish like Parexis and Climatius, while flat teeth in the back are used to crush mollusks and ammonites. Hybotus may be small, but they are numerous and vital to the ecosystems of FMM's oceans, taking on roles of both predator and prey to many of the dinosaur planet's marine inhabitants. Of all the marine creatures we're going to look at today, Hybotus just might be my personal favorite. I love the warm, earthy colors contrasted with the cream counter shading and the dark stripes. I love the big black eyes and the soft, rounded curves to the animal's silhouette, and the little hornlets above its eyes are just so cute. It's not a big, menacing sea monster, it's just a fun little guy, with a superb design and fantastically fluid animations. I love seeing little groups of them swimming around the oceans, minding their own business, living their lives. Hybotus is a simple yet effective inclusion to FMMUV32's Sea Creature Gallery, and is easily one of my personal favorite additions so far. The next sea creature we're going to look at today is the Tiny Grippia, designed, modeled, and animated by Opper23B. In sharp contrast to its monstrous relatives like Shonisaurus and Shastasaurus, Grippia was a tiny basal ichthyosaurian, featuring primitive anatomy compared to the later fish lizards, but having the distinction of being the most studied of all basal ichthyosaurs, giving paleontologists great insight into this unique lineage of aquatic reptiles. While large predatory reptiles patrol the deep oceans of the dinosaur planet, the little Grippia prefers to hunt in the shallow waters of Vengar fjords, snapping up small fish that inhabit the many waterways cutting through the marshy island. Vengar's crystal clear waterways not only create natural choke points to hunt cornered fish, they also make travel difficult for large predators, providing some natural protection for the Grippia that live here. The little ichthyosaurs do face some predation from coastal dinosaurs like Spinosaurus or Carcharodontosaurus, sometimes finding themselves trapped in the same shallow pools that they use to corner fish, but on the whole, the waterways of Vengar fjords provide a perfect little habitat for these small sea creatures. With the introduction of aquatic AI into carnivores, huge, dangerous predators like Mosasaurus and Liopleurodon were always at the top of people's wish lists. But it's the smaller, more populous creatures that help flesh out aquatic AI to make it feel like a full-fledged feature and not just a shallow gimmick, and Grippia adds to the watery world of carnivores wonderfully. It's a small, simple creature. No unique calls or complex animations, but the design is great, the texture is nicely canon styled, the colors are unique, and its role as a reserved island dweller, as opposed to a boundless ocean wanderer, makes it stand out among FMM's already extraordinary aquatic animals. The next marine creature we're going to look at is not an animal specific to the prehistoric alien world of carnivores, but one we still have here on planet Earth today, a tiger shark, ported, rigged, and animated by Chromadan. tiger sharks are pretty aptly named for the dark tiger stripes that run down the animal's body, stripes that fade as the shark matures. They'll eat basically anything, which has given them the reputation of being a garbage eater, and are considered a near-threatened species because of fishing by humans. Although they may face lots of man-made obstacles and threats here on Earth, sharks aren't well documented on the dinosaur planet, as most of FMM's oceans have gone unexplored until very recently. This particular tiger shark model actually hails from another old hunting game, Shark: Hunting the Great White. Coincidentally enough, developed by Primal Prey's Sunstorm Interactive and published by Carnivores WizardWorks in 2001. I never got a chance to play the game myself, but I do know of its existence thanks to its inclusion in my old WizardWorks catalog that I got with my copy of Carnivores 2 in 1999. And seeing one of its shark models here in Carnivores is really cool and kinda poetic. While the animations are a little stiff and it doesn't exactly fit the Carnivore style, it's still a neat crossover add-on between two WizardWorks titles, so I thought it was definitely worth showing off here. The penultimate sea creature we're looking at today is the polycotyledonid plesiosaur Dolichorhynchonops, once again modeled, sounded, and animated by Zerer. Dolichorhynchonops belongs to an odd family of plesiosaurs that resemble pliosaurs like Liopleurodon, with their short necks and long jaws, but are more closely related to elasmosaurs. Now, marine reptiles like these didn't grow very large, usually maxing out at around 3 meters in length, but were still skilled predators, which are characteristics that are also present on the FMM depiction of the animal. On the dinosaur planet, Dolichorhynchonops spend most of their time hunting in the warm, shallow seas off the coast of the central sector's islands, preying on the abundance of fish that thrive in the coastal waters. Out in deeper waters, they'd find themselves as prey, but along the shallow coasts, they remain the top predators, ruling over their contained coastal kingdoms. Unlike such huge sea monsters as Liopleurodon, whose massive frame would crush its internal organs outside of the water, Dolichorhynchonops' smaller frame allows it to climb ashore and sun itself on occasion, as well as traverse inland via rivers to collect gastroliths before venturing back out to sea. Its smaller size prevents it from being an indomitable sea monster like its larger relatives, but does allow it to live a fast-paced and versatile lifestyle compared to most other FMM marine reptiles. Mid-sized, aerodynamic aquatic creatures are a rarity among carnivores lore, with marine life usually comprised of gigantic leviathans lurking in the depths, or small, agile fish zigzagging through the shallows. So Dolichorhynchonops is a welcome addition to fill a currently underutilized niche. That said, I'm not too big a fan of this design personally. I think this is one of Zerer's older models, and while I don't mind the model itself, it's the texture and the color work that really hold it back in my opinion. The texture detail is a bit ill-defined and fuzzy, and the overwhelming amount of monotone green with very artificial looking stripes just isn't very visually appealing to me personally. It's a cool creature to have in game, and I think with a new texture and coloration it could be great, but currently it just feels a little lacking. And the final marine creature that we're looking at today is one of the most iconic and recognizable terrapins of all time, the titanic turtle Archelon. Once again modeled, sounded, and animated by Jorge Gabriel. Archelon is the largest turtle, living or extinct, ever discovered. roughly the size and weight of a small car. While giants like Tyrannosaurus hunted the forests and Quetzalcoatlus stalked the skies, the enormous Archelon surfed the late Cretaceous seas, foraging on crustaceans, mollusks, jellyfish, and squid with its hooked beak and crushing jaws. Features the FMM iteration of the animal boasts as well. On the dinosaur planet, Archelons spend most of their time out in the deeper oceans hunting prey, but do come to the shores of the Central Sector Islands to rest and lay their eggs in the warm coastal sand. While on land, the turtles are particularly vulnerable to large predators like Tyrannosaurus, as their leathery shells offer little in the way of protection from the tyrant lizard's bone-crushing bite. Once back in the water, however, Archelon are much more capable of defending themselves, using their immense weight and bulk to bash into would-be attackers like Mosasaurus, who frequently attempt to hunt the leather-backed turtles. If brute force doesn't work, the Archelon's slicing beak can usually deter most predators, if the turtle can maneuver itself into position in time. Agility is not the strong suit of such a large animal like this, and as tempting as it may be, it is not recommended to ride the Archelon Nigel Marven style. There's no need to unnecessarily weigh the poor creatures down in dangerous mosasaur-infested waters. This Archelon is a near-perfect recreation of Zdeněk Burian's painting, and for the retro, Burian-inspired world of carnivores, I cannot think of a better way to represent this iconic turtle in-game. Everything from the cream-colored scales accented with dark spots to the rusty reddish-brown shell gives it such a beautiful, ancient aura. The animations are smooth and soothing, and it has such an awesome presence. It's not like a Mosasaurus that instills fear, or a fish that's just kinda neat to look at. It's a large, powerful, peaceful creature that evokes a sense of wonder, kinda like the Brachiosaurus, and is a joy to encounter every time. Ultimately, guys, these 6 sea creatures cover a broad phylogenetic spectrum, from snakes and turtles to plesiosaurs and fish. But they do fantastically flesh out the newly documented watery world of carnivores. When aquatic AI became possible thanks to Oli's programming efforts, huge sea monsters like Mosasaurus, Liopleurodon, and Megalodon were always what people wanted to see most. But with add-on creatures like these, the undersea environments of planet FMM UV32 are being fleshed out into their own believably thriving ecosystems, which adds to the spectacular immersion that Carnivores is known for. There's not just a mosasaur idling in a vast empty ocean. There are fish, turtles, snakes, and other smaller reptiles, all living their own lives with their own ecological niches. World building has arguably always been Carnivore's strongest hook, and the modding community continues to deliver on that skill in spades. Alright, so there you go, guys. 6 new sea creatures to add to your Modders Edition engine version of Carnivores. If I had to rank these creatures in terms of my personal favorite to least favorite, my list would be Hybotus, Archelon, Grippia, Gigantophis, Dolichorhynchonops, and the tiger shark. But what do you guys think? Which is your favorite of these aquatic add-ons? Be sure to let me know down in the comment section below. Thanks as always for watching, guys. You are all truly the best, and I will see you guys next time.